Good afternoon. Day 3, round 2 of this year's Comcast Business U.S. Open 2025, coming to you from the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Centre in the heart of Philadelphia. A platinum event on the PSA Squash Tour, and we're getting into the thick of it now. A win here today will get you through to the quarter-final stages of this year's U.S. Open. Nicole Bunyan and Vanessa Atkinson with us in the studio here. Good afternoon. Sunny day outside. Not that we see any of that sunshine in the sports hall here, but a busy day ahead.
Yeah, it is. Terrific squash being played so far. Some good 5-gamers yesterday, which we'll get into in the show today. But yeah, really excited for what's to come.
Vanessa, what are you excited about today? You're always excited about something, you and your tablet.
I've never heard that before. Yeah, looking forward to it. I think the early rounds in the last few tournaments have been really, really good. Just shows the depth of the tour right now, that you don't have to wait till quarterfinals anymore to get some close matches.
I was just talking to Tesney Murphy just on one of the side courts. She's getting ready to play the Canadian Open, which literally starts straight off the back of this, doesn't it? You're playing in that as well, yeah. Nicole. So
I think if I win my first match, I play Tesney, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, that's a pretty quick transition, though, isn't it, from tournament to tournament? Tesney knocked out, unfortunately lost to Hannah Moataz, but she was just saying that top 20, anyone can win. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day in the women's.
Yeah, I think so. I think after the top 5, there's a pretty significant gap where, obviously I think the 6 and 7 and 8 can get games off of the top 4 and 5, but after that, I think, pretty much from 6 down to 20, it's pretty deep.
And what about the men's side of things as well? I mean, that's been a bit of a humble jumble season as well. It's really juggling up in the men's rankings.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a little bit of a sort of changing of the guard. I think we're seeing a reshuffle in the top 10. The top sort of 3 or 4 are pretty static, but I think we're going to see a whole different top 8 perhaps than at the start of the season.
Okay, let's take you through some of the matches from yesterday, if you missed those. Sana Ibrahim safely through, having beaten Siva Sangari Subramaniam. Siva up to world number 6, but knocked out of the tournament now. Just a few of the highlights from that match. It was nip and tuck here all the way.
It was, yeah. I was lucky enough to be in commentary for that one. Ibrahim was outstanding from start to finish, really. I can't fault her performance at all. She plays a pretty simple game. There's not a huge amount of subtlety, but it's very, very effective, and it's a good tactical game to play against a player like Subramaniam. Everything's played at pace. She uses the lift well, but when she takes the ball in short, she takes in with a bit of pace, so it's quite safe. Yeah. She doesn't make many errors. And in contrast, Subramaniam, that error count just tipping over, which we've seen so often before.
Well, she's hugely powerful, isn't she, well, they're both very powerful, but Ibrahim, she's very powerful with the way she takes the ball in, that heavy hitting. And so I think that just takes time away from Subramaniam, and it caused her a lot of issues yesterday.
Yeah, she was getting really frustrated, and I think that was then causing her to make errors. She was losing her composure quite a bit, Subramaniam. She was squandering leads. She had leads in quite a few of the games that she ended up losing. So all of that sort of mentally started to take its toll towards the end of the match.
And some controversy at the end of the match as well. And let's have a little look at this, and then you guys can talk us through it from your point of view, and maybe just give us a nice even balance to the argument, if you like, about what we're going to see here.
Well, this was a crucial scoreline, wasn't it, Vanessa? She's up 7-5 here, right? Needs to win this game to go to a 5th, and this was a crucial decision.
Yeah, I mean, there was no reviews for the double bounces, unfortunately. That was announced. Possibly the VR should have stepped in, because you could sort of quite clearly see there in the replay that the ball was good. It was called double. That's something as a player you just have to take on the chin. She's still in a good position at that point. Then there was a follow-up where Ibrahim kind of stopped because she claimed that Subramaniam had said something during the rally.
And we heard that as well. We heard it. We were able to get the audio on afterwards. Not then, but actually like in their studio afterwards.
So just to clarify that for anyone that doesn't watch squash on the daily like us, you're not allowed to talk during a point.
You're not allowed to talk, no. And I think she said something like that was double.
Yeah.
We couldn't hear it live, but we now have evidence that she did actually speak during
that
the
was down
rally.
Or that was double, I think, is what we're hearing, having analysed it. But in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle, those are the sort of things that get under your skin as a player.
Yeah, well, it's such a tense time as well. When you hear your opponent speak, you stop, don't you? Well, inherently you want to stop, and then yeah, I mean, she put her hand up, which usually there's no issues with putting your hand up, right? Everyone does that very instinctively, but you don't speak. And so I think that just added to the tension.
Yeah, and I mean, after the match, she felt very hard done by, but I don't think that's fair. I think she's got to sort of take a good hard look in the mirror, watch the match back, and see that she was in really good positions, and she gave that away. She was making errors on big points. She allowed her composure to go, and that ultimately was what made the difference.
There's, I guess, there's an influence, isn't there? I think Greg Gauthier in her corner yesterday. Are you sometimes looking to your coach there to have a cool, calm head, and if he's getting engaged in that as well and chasing the likes of Lee Beachill to put in a formal complaint? You know, that those are the sort of things where you lead by example, don't you? So that the coaches are also, we have to look to them for responsibility.
I mean, you always hear Greg Gauthier cheering in the crowd, don't you? You can hear him when you're watching on TV. So he definitely gets in there with his players. And afterwards, actually, I was standing at the front of the court when she came off after she'd lost, and she had some choice words to say to the ref, and then Gauthier followed behind her and also was saying that as well, and was, you know, having a bit of a go at the ref. So I think that if it were me, I think I would need a bit of a calming influence probably. If I'm getting up here, I need my coach to be able to probably bring me down. But after the fact, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's all done then, isn't it?
I don't know if it's even a calming influence. I think it's someone that's just going to tell you the truth in that moment. You need to cut this out. The reffing is fine. You need to sort this out. You need to cut out the errors and look at your own responsibility within that match and take accountability for what's happening on there, rather than looking for everyone else to blame. And I think that's the role of the coach.
And that's what you would do if you were Siva's coach?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nicole, if you were Siva's coach?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Vanessa. I think, you need to be told the truth. You know, I don't think you want a coach to sugarcoat it for you, definitely. But I think that just in certain instances, if you do look out, and I'm not a fan of looking out and looking at the coach, I think you need to keep your attention on the court. But if you do, you want to see your coach being rather calm and composed. Obviously, know that they're on your side, but you don't want to see them like raging outside the court.
Okay, and thanks for your input on that one. We're going to move on to the next game from yesterday. So Tomi Watanabe in action against Holly Norton of Canada. This one went the way of the number 5 seed, Tomi Watanabe. Huge cries from her. She hasn't been playing her best squash this season, but this is the sort of win that builds her confidence.
I don't know if it's the kind of win that builds her confidence, because I didn't think she played particularly well. Certainly she'll be happy that she sort of dug deep and got through it. But in terms of her form, that still definitely looks shaky. But I don't want to take anything away from Norton either. I thought she was fantastic. It's the best she's looked in a long time. She was moving well. Mentally, she got stuck in. She lost the first quite convincingly. I was sort of fearing the worst at that point. Played brilliantly from that point onwards.
I thought it was a really good performance from Norton, to be fair. I played her at the Pan Am Championships in the summer. She had some tussles to get through to that match when we played in the final. And she just seems like she's moving better. She's been struggling with an ankle or foot injury for quite some time now. So it's good to see her actually playing and moving freely.
Absolutely. But in terms of Watanabe, I think it's kind of a similar story to Siva in some ways than what you were talking about that sort of 5-8 or 6-8. They're still very vulnerable. They've got the ranking now, but they don't quite have that sort of maturity to carry that consistently. And I think they're still possibly the sort of good draws for people to get in the early rounds. And we're seeing that now.
Some of the pressure where they feel like they have to back up that ranking now, because they're like 6th or 5th seed here in the tournament for Watanabe. I mean, that carries its weight, doesn't it?
They've got there through a certain level of consistency because they're good enough to push the players above them, but still vulnerable to losing to the players below them. And I think some of that is a normal part of your development and will improve with time, but I just don't think they're quite there yet to hold that position consistently.
How do you grow that maturity? Is there a way that you can accelerate that, or you've just got to stick it out and hang around world number 8 or world number 9 for a time? A bit like Hania El Hammami, she's had to wait at world number 3, and now suddenly she's rocketing up and she's going to be knocking on the door of world number 1.
I think part of it is what I was saying about Siva. It's taking that hard, that tough look in the mirror and really looking at where you're getting it wrong, which is really, really difficult to do. And I think there's a lot of players that could make big improvements.
Do they do that? Do players do that after every tournament? Do they go away and have those honest conversations?
I think maybe you're more able to do that as you get older. I think it's a very difficult thing to do. Some players never get there, and some you can really see when that's happened. And I think if you look at players like Hammami and Weaver, they know what they're good at, they know who they are, they know exactly what they're doing on there, and that gives them that consistency to hold that ranking that they're at now.
Yeah, I think that Weaver, she had a couple of seasons, for instance, where she came through a lot of 5-game battles, and then she had to look at herself and with her team, and she said, I want to be getting through these rounds more convincingly. What do I need to change about myself? I need to get fitter. And just had those hard conversations, decided to work with one coach instead of several coaches, where sometimes having too many influences can muddle the brain and it can make you confused. And sometimes I think that's what it comes down to when they're on there. Tomi Watanabe or Siva does have one coach now, but I think so maybe they're suffering from a couple of different issues, obviously, but maybe it's just that they need to get really single-minded about one thing that they need to get a lot better at in order to be more solid.
Taking charge of your own career, which is exactly what you were saying about Weaver, even though she's obviously decided that she wants to work with Rod and takes a lot from him, she's very much in charge of what she's doing herself, and it's a conversation rather than being told what she needs to do.
Doesn't that come down to your personality, though, as well? So if you're confident enough to do that, that is the sort of thing you do. But if you're naturally maybe a little bit shy or non-confrontational or don't want to sort of face these battles?
I don't think it comes down to the personality, because Marina Stefanoni, for instance, she's up later against Nourel Sherbini. She's not a confrontational person. I don't know if I'd say she's shy, but she has a quiet confidence about her. And so but she's very, very good with, she was national champion when she was 13 years old. She has learned how to win over and over and over again. So I think for her, she's taken ownership of her own journey right from the get-go, and she's not a loud or confrontational person. So I don't think it necessarily needs that personality.
Are you a loud and confrontational person? Are you? Were you a loud and confrontational player, Vanessa?
No, but I definitely was a player that didn't really know what I was doing for a lot of years, and definitely had to have that very honest conversation with myself, which was that I was mentally losing a lot of matches that I should have been winning.
How did you turn that around, the mental side?
I talked to a lot of people, I read books, I sort of just did a bit of a deep dive into what was happening on there, and that it was nothing to do. There was no way to train myself out of that. Any amount of training wasn't going to change that. I needed to find a way to stay composed under pressure, and it worked. And it was still a journey to get there, but it worked.
We're going to have a look at Dimitri Steinmann in action next from yesterday. So just a reminder that he got knocked out of the tournament by England's Curtis Malik. So Malik safely through, having beaten Mohamed El Shabagi before this in round one. He takes out the Swiss player here in round two. But again, this was another match that was littered with tie breaks and controversy.
It was. I feel like we're going to have the same conversation all over again now with relation to Steinmann. I don't want to take anything away from Curtis Malik. There was a conduct game, I think it was.
Conduct stroke at the end there, it was,
which was obviously match. But it was kind of the story of the match, really. Steinmann kind of getting leads, playing really well, putting some really good work into Malik, and then making a couple of errors and just sort of giving Malik a shot in the arm in terms of his energy levels to keep himself in the match. But really, Steinmann gave that away massively.
Well, you were commentating that match, weren't you? And you said that there were a lot of strokes given against Steinmann.
Yeah.
Not because of the quality of shot being poor. Actually, it was very good, but because he wasn't providing access, and then that added to the tension, didn't it?
It did, and they were all in the same part of the court. It was all in the back left. You would get a ball in the middle, play the volley down the line, and wasn't clearing that line for Malik to get through.
Why not? Why would a player not naturally do that?
I think naturally was just sort of holding his position. He was claiming to the ref, I'm not moving. But the whole point was, and the ref was saying that very clearly to him, you need to take a step back. You need to more actively clear that line and allow the opponent through. And he just wasn't getting the message, and it was happening over and over again, and he kept getting strokes. And rather than sort of thinking, right, I need to change that, he was thinking, the reffing's terrible, the match is going against me, and very, very much giving himself the wrong messaging.
Are the match referees under a lot of pressure there, and are they sort of being forced into tight corners? So technology not working there in the Siva match against Sana, as we saw, and there it looked like a stroke for a thumbs up. There are worse things to do to a match referee, aren't they, to get a stroke?
But it's in the spirit of the game, isn't it? It's sarcastic.
But but really, is that where squash is? It positions itself that if you stick your thumb up, you lose a point.
You get a conduct stroke for dissent now, and that's dissent, isn't it?
But also, you're not seeing the context of the lead up to that point. Yes, that in itself doesn't seem like much. Also, obviously, it was the last point. So if that had happened at 2-3 in the second game, we wouldn't probably be talking about it. It was just a conduct point. But obviously, that it meant end of match. But he was teetering. He was trying to continually sort of cross the line,
which is escalated, didn't it?
Yes,
throughout.
And at that point, the ref had given him plenty of warnings and plenty of opportunities to sort himself out, and he didn't. So I think the reffing was pretty good, actually, overall. I thought they got most of those decisions right, and were also very clearly explaining what he needed to do. So I think the only person really that Steinmann can blame is himself.
Coming back to accountability and ownership again.
I'm always interested that the match referee here sits with the crowd, with the audience. Again, that just wouldn't happen in another sport, and I guess anyone coming new to the sport will think that's a bit weird.
Yeah, I think so. That's always one of the first comments that people make when they come and watch squash. They're like, is that really the ref?
But it can get hostile.
All the way. Yeah, it can. Yeah,
I mean, are they getting protected? Are the match referees getting looked after, and ensuring that players, supporters, sort of the haters out there don't come after them?
I mean, I don't think they've ever needed actual protection, but it can be very. We have seen very intimidating crowds before, where we even see the coaches sort of looking up aggressively towards the referees. And squash is a very, very difficult sport to referee at the end of the day. There's a lot of subjective situations that even we disagree on when we're in commentary, and they get a lot of stick, often not deserved either.
Okay, well, we can talk about this all night. Actually, there's plenty more to chat there. But let's take you through the order of play for today. We've got loads of squash coming your way. As I said, a win here today will take you through to the quarter-final stages of this year's US Open. Karim Gawad against Faris Dessouy is our first match of the day, an all-Egyptian battle there. Marina Stefanoni of the United States takes on Nour El Shabini, the #1 seed here. Jonah Bryant in England against Paul Cole. That is a repeat of their match in Qatar just a couple of weeks ago. And Amina Orfi, the up-and-coming new world #3, the youngest world #3 ever, takes on Hannah Moataz. So there'll be favourites for those. What are those matches that stick out for you, Nicole?
Well, I'm really looking forward to the Jonah Bryant-Paul Cole match. They played in Qatar just a couple weeks ago. Jonah Bryant was not on fresh legs because he'd had a couple of marathons to get through to that point in the semifinals. So I think that'll be interesting for him. Obviously, Paul Cole is on a bit of a high, although after his big turnaround from Egyptian
his Superman
Open,
move, as
exactly,
you called it, yeah.
I don't think he'll be resting on his laurels. He'll be well up for this. He'll know the dangers that Jonah Bryant has. So I think it'll be an interesting match for sure. But I'm looking forward to all of them.
Before we let you go into the commentary box, Vanessa, just your thoughts on those West Court games.
Looking forward to seeing Dessouy play.
Yep.
He was in really good form in Qatar. Mentally looked in good order. His squash is amazing. We know what he's capable of, and he started to show that sort of #7 in the world that he was previously. Started to show that promise a little bit. So I'm hoping that we'll get a good performance from him.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the East Court action next for you. These are the 4 matches that we've got coming from the East Court. An all-American battle between the Sobhy sisters. Amanda takes on Sabrina in the first match of the day. They're a reminder that gets going 5 p.m. local time here in Philadelphia. Then it's Mohamed Zakaria against Yusuf Solomon, another all-Egyptian battle there. England's Jasmine Hutton will take on Tina Gillis in tonight's third match. Then it's Aliabu Elainin against Baptiste Massotti, the final match of the night. We welcome Joey Barrington into the studio very briefly for this one. Joey, so let's get your thoughts on those East Coast style matches.
I mean, it's great with the US interest. I mean, it's typical that Amanda Sobhy's got to take her sister on here. I was speaking to Amanda's mum, and she was like, I can't believe it's happening, but it's going to be centre stage for both of them. What an opportunity. Amanda's already kind of tweeting and on social media about it, whereas Sabrina is very much just staying away from all that kind of side of things. I mean, you know them pretty well.
Yeah, I actually had a practice hit with Amanda this morning. I think it was Yusuf Solomon who she was supposed to practice with, and he just didn't show up. So she was like, hey, do you want to have a hit? And so it was great.
Did you sort of divulge any information at that stage about how she's going to approach tonight's match?
No. You would never talk about that really before. I know, I'm sorry.
This is your job as a journalist to get to the heart of it.
I was just focused on having a good practice for myself, Michael, and not injuring her as well. That would have been a shocker.
Okay, well, thankfully, we did send Vanessa out after your practice, and she caught up with Amanda Sobhy. Here's what she had to say.
Amanda, we're back in the Ireland Spectre Centre for the US Open. I think it's your 14th. I sort of looked down the list to see how many times you've played this. A relationship that goes all the way back to 2009. I think you were 16 when you played your first one. Can you sort of explain the special significance of this event particularly? There's a few sort of in the US that are big events, but the US Open especially.
Yeah, I mean, US Open is a home tournament, and I've been playing it, like you said, 14 years, so I've been playing it for far more than I actually realized. But it's amazing playing at home, and it's always one when you think of a major tournament too that you want to win. Like the US Open is up there.
And in terms of the prize money here, it's the biggest prize fund ever. The US Open was obviously the front runner in terms of equal prize money. I think it was 2013. They were the first event to have equal prize money. Were you do you remember that? Were you part of that conversation? Obviously, the US women were probably ahead of the men at that point and still are. So it must have felt very justified to finally get equal prize money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, very proud to be a US player where our national governing body sees the value in equal prize money and making sure that the women are equal to the men. And so I was really proud to be a part of that movement and just to know that U.S. Squash is backing us and wanting equal prize money.
And you guys have definitely proved that was a good decision. So tonight you're up against your sister in round 2, the Sobhy showdown coming up later tonight. It's not unusual to have siblings playing. There's quite a few examples right at the top of the game. What is that like for you two? What's that dynamic like? Do you find it difficult?
Yeah, I mean, we actually play a lot just in exhibitions and practice and stuff. We haven't played that much in PSA, and given that she's been out the last year with her injury, I was out the year before, so this is the first season where we're both back, and then, of course, we play each other, and in U.S. Open, too. But honestly, it's fun. We just want to go out there and have a good time. I'd prefer if the refs just kind of stay out of us and let us just play and just be siblings and just duke it out. And I think we'll provide a lot of entertainment. A bunch of our buddies are coming to watch, and they want to support, and it's just, let's just have fun with it.
And in terms of those injuries you talked about, obviously your injuries have been well documented. Sabrina had the wrist injury. She was out for 6 months. Was that something that you were able to help her navigate, obviously with your experience dealing with a long hiatus?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, her injury, she ended up surpassing me with the amount of time off. She ended up being out for a year, and I was out for 9 months. And I always told her, I was I'm here if you need anything, and I wasn't going to kind of force myself on to helping her. But I always knew that if she needs to reach out, I'm always going to be there for her. I'm always going to be her older sister and everything, and I'm just glad that she's back healthy. I'm glad I'm back healthy, and then we can kind of just leave it all out on court tonight.
And in terms of your own game, are you happy with where you're at, with how you've been feeling on court so far this season? Is it kind of where you want it to be after the off season?
Yeah, I'm really happy with how my game's progressing. Last season was more a test of can I do this? And I think I kind of showed that, and now it's okay, yeah, let's freaking do this. So I'm looking forward to just kind of getting back out there. I'm really enjoying playing. I'm really enjoying competing, which at this stage in my career is kind of fun, and I'm still learning, and I have that passion for it, and I want to compete, so I'm excited.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for taking the time, and good luck to both of you tonight.
Thank you so much.
So they get going 5 p.m. on the East Court, Amanda Sobhy versus Sabrina Sobhy. And what did you make of what she had to say then? What did we learn from her experiences of U.S. squash?
I mean, yeah, it sounds like she's very proud to be American, which she's said many times over the years. I think it's pretty cool for her to also have her sister in this position, and also being able to mentor her sister. I'm sure that they've had a lot of sibling rivalry over the years. They've had a couple of matches where they played on PSA. I know one time, I think it was Black Ball Open. In particular, I remember Sabrina lost, and it was a close one, and I think they tried to interview Sabrina afterwards to try and get a sister.
I was there. I was sent in to interview her, and they wanted to interview the winner and the loser. And I was like, you just don't interview the loser.
No, so that probably wasn't good for sibling relations.
No, or me, or my career. Joey, what are your memories of these two sort of battling it out on the PSA squash tour?
I mean, they're very different characters, and I just think that with Amanda, I mean, they both had these injury situations as well, where the bizarre kind of wrist injury for Sabrina, but I mean, Amanda's saying let's just go and enjoy it and stuff. I mean, she's obviously on a mission, so it's difficult. I mean, I played a bit of squash with my brother growing up, and he used to get very irritable with me, but I can imagine that but behind the smiles there's still that steely she needs to win, doesn't she?
No, there's no doubt that Amanda's going to be out there to win. I don't think there's going to be a lot of smiles tonight.
Well, she smiles even when she's angry, and that's an interesting one, because she's got the great teeth, you see.
Yeah. And so which way is that going to go in that East Court battle, which again starts at 5 p.m. for our US fans tuning in, so not long to wait for that one.
I mean, I think it's going to be an elder sibling victory tonight. I think that Amanda, based on the fact Amanda's form, it's been good. Also, she's come back to the tour more recently. Sabrina's still working her way back up. She had a good performance a couple weeks ago where she got to the final of a copper event in Canada, so that was a good run of matches for her. But I think that she's still going to be working her way back up to her top form, which we know that she can play deep down.
Yeah, I mean, the level that Amanda's playing, she took Shabini to 5 in the Egyptian Open, which was really impressive, and she'll be ruthless, and I think it'll be 3-love.
The American women are flying the flag. for world squash, really, because LA28 is fast approaching, and these are the characters that are leading the way for the US women, alongside, I guess, Timmy Brownell and a few of the other men.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really exciting time for them. Marina Stefanoni almost in the top 20 now. She's had a terrific tournament here so far, so I think that if she pushes on, she's going to be up in that top 20 in no time at all. And then, of course, you've got Olivia Weaver, who is really flying the flag, top 4, really trying, or top 5 right now, but trying to close in on that big 3 as well. That
shows the investment that the US squash has put into their program is coming to fruition.
Yeah, it is, and you've got to remember that Amanda was the one that really shone the light on women's squash in the US. You know, she got to world number 3, and she's definitely, for me, going to be right inside that top 8 and pushing on. So she was the beacon initially to motivate the other girls, but they've stepped up to the mark, and it's fantastic to see with so much action here in the US.
And this tournament in particular is steeped in history since it moved to Philadelphia. So let's talk a little bit about that with you now, Joey. You can talk us through some of your memories.
Yeah, I mean, this was amazing. This was Mohamed's first one of 3 that he won in the end, and that was against the great maestro. You know, the quality of players that he was playing when he was up and coming with Nick Matthew and Omar Shabana. You can see great head of hair there. He was very young. And then, of course, Noor El Tayeb creating a bit of history, taking out Raneem El Walili, but first ever husband and wife to ever win a major, which was extraordinary. It was a big one for Tayeb, though, for where she was seeded to come through. And then Ali Farag, so that was his first US Open, up against his old rival, Mohamed El Shabagi, which was really impressive and made the headlines here in North America.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, to think that these two just continued to play those sorts of finals. That was 8 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
It was. I mean, and then we look at Mustafa Asal, first major for him, and he was 21 years of age, so the youngest ever to win the US Open. And he was 2 games down against Tariq Momin, who was battling. It was an extraordinary tournament.
Matches in that
yeah,
tournament,
he did. He came through it, and then unfortunately the next year he was disqualified for hitting Lucas Serm in the ear. So he's had a real roller coaster of these events, but this really put him on the map. You know, we knew he was going to be big time, but 21 years of age, winning the US Open the way he did.
Did you know that then? Did you know Mustafa Asal was going to be as good as he is now?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
What did he show you there in that tournament in particular?
Well, the fact he went through the 5 games as he did. I mean, Shabini, he'd thought in the way that she's played, she might have won this a bit earlier on in her career, but it was 2023 that she took out El Hammami. And, of course, getting to the final last year, losing to Gohar. Paul Cole making history in his own right. First Kiwi ever to win the US Open. So not even Ross Norman was able to win the US Open. So that was cool. So it's had a lot of different variety of history being made with this event. And that really kind of stands it up nicely.
Worth reminding everyone as well, no defending champions here. No Ali Farag, no Nuran Gohar. Both of those are going to be missing. So if Hania El Hammami, who's won the first 2 majors of the season, wins here in the US, this is all hypothetical, of course. This is the current state of affairs in the women's top 10. There could be a real switcheroo there at the top, and that gap narrows. Talk us through it, Nicole.
Oh, my goodness. It's so exciting, Michael. I hope you have your calculator out because this is about to blow your mind. So that is 0.5 of a difference between the world number 1 and the world number 2 there. If Hania does if she does win the US Open, that is, I mean, I can't even begin to explain how close of a gap that is between world number 1 and world number 2.
It's got to be recurring. I mean, Johnny Williams would literally be getting so excited about those numbers there, but that is incredibly tight.
Well, it also means that we know that Gohar has pulled out of the Hong Kong Open, where we know that El Hammami is going to be playing the China Open. In China, Hania El Hammami could go to world number 1.
She will go to world number 1. Honestly, she will.
Okay, clear cut.
You heard it here first.
We did. And I must say, it's all hypothetical, of course, that graph. But that's if she meets Orphy in the final as well, if you want to be really nerdy about how we came up with those numbers. Well, I am. I like all the, want the stats to be right.
But you've got a teaching degree as well, so this is good for you. This is showing that skill set. I like it.
It's very good indeed. Listen, we've got a busy day ahead. What are you looking forward to the most today, Nicole?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to go with the Sobhy showdown.
Yeah, that's over on the East Court. Yeah. Joey, what about you?
I'm looking forward to seeing Zachariah and Solomon. There's definitely a good few in there. You know, there's a good night of squash here. We're going to be here a bit late, so make sure you're nicely hydrated and fed well, Michael. I don't want you getting grumbly on the studio.
Okay, thanks. We'll be back very shortly over on Squash TV. Thanks very much for joining us here on the free YouTube channel, and make sure you join us over on Squash TV. See you shortly.